Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Scotty Boy. It's about almost 10 p.m. Oh my gosh, Wednesday I believe. It's all kind of running together. And that's what this is going to be about. I'll give you a quick update, and I thought I'd give a little talk about how your schedule is just going to be turned absolutely topsy-turvy. Starting when you come to orientation, but then once you get rolling on the road, all bets are off. So not necessarily a bad thing, but stuff that you're going to have to be prepared for. So by way of an update, let's see. I think I left y'all off. We were heading down to Miami. We dropped off that load, then moved, of course, north. We got a washout because the former one was a meat load. And we had a load coming out of Tropicana, which we arrived at fairly early, but they said that wasn't going to be ready until midnight. So Eric dropped off the trailer in the yard there, and we bobtailed to an area with a bunch of restaurants and things to choose from. Decent parking lot to spend the day. Anyway, we ended up there, and Eric was nice enough to offer to treat me to lunch, and he looked at a satellite view of where we were, and we saw a Cracker Barrel. It was a decent little hike, but we both kind of are looking for a decent meal, so we decided to do that. And we were walking towards it, and as it came into view, in between us and it was a Sonny's Barbecue. I've never had Sonny's Barbecue. It was really good. We ended up going there instead. I had smoked wings and ribs, and we shared an appetizer of loaded tater tots with queso. Pretty damn good. Memorable meal. It was really awesome. So from there, let's see. Yeah, that's where the scheduling thing starts to come in. I wanted to let y'all know, again, when you get to you get to the orientation phase of Prime's training, even then, don't expect a 9-to-5 day. You may have training in the morning, and maybe you have sim class at 9 in the evening. It's a little bit all over the place, and you have the day in the middle off. So I don't know if that's by design or what, but right from the get-go, you realize that this is not a 9-to-5 job anymore. Despite what you may be used to. Now out on the road, PSD is a little tough because you're doing solo runs with two people, and there's rules involved. Since I'm PSD, I'm not allowed to drive at night. We also both have to be awake when the other one is driving. So we've had a pretty long haul down to Florida and a long haul back, which means that I'm up while he's driving, mostly through the night, and he has to be up and in the passenger seat while I'm driving, which has typically been first light up through about lunchtime, and I'm steadily adding some hours on as we go. So it's tiresome, but it's odd. I've said that I'm on a CPAP, and one of the benefits of being on a CPAP is you can monitor your usage, not necessarily sleep. You can be awake and be on the CPAP and it counted as time, but it's still a pretty good measure. And I'm actually maybe at least 2 to 3 hours on average more in sleeper berth and trying to sleep and sleeping than I was at home. I'm a person that never, even when I was a kid, I never needed more than about 6 hours, and I'm still that way. So a lot of my sleeper berth time is, I'll sleep for several hours, but then I'm spending several hours just staring at the ceiling, wide awake. So I'm sleeping, I think, more than ever, to be honest. But it's disjointed. It's a little bit here and a little bit there, maybe a little in the evening. So it's all over the place. So I may be sleeping more, but you do tend to feel tired no matter how much sleep you end up getting. And not only that, your waking hours are spent driving, and you have to be so alert when you drive a semi-truck. It's not like driving the four-wheel car, you know, where you can pretty much passively turn your brain off. It's all second nature, that kind of thing. It's not. It can get comfortable, and I am definitely getting more comfortable, able to relax. My first few drives, my neck would get really tight. You know, like you'd get that kind of hot wire feeling thing in the back of your neck. I got that today. Earlier today. You know, we did go. I drove through Atlanta on a Tuesday, roughly. I think it was around 10 to 11. So not necessarily rush hour, but you know, still pretty hair raising for someone who's pretty new to this. So, but I made it through. Did fine. But for the most part, even your straight drives, you know, you can get super comfortable and able to relax and enjoy the ride, but it will never mean dropping your guard. You know, you will always have to check your mirrors constantly. Always, as Eric tells me all the time, always know what your ass is doing. You're always looking back there, and knowing what's going on with that. And I needed to, especially this past drive, because the tandems had to be way back, so it was a totally different experience. I had to watch, you know, not just going around a right turn or a left turn, but you know, going around a clover leaf or something like that. I had to watch where the back end was tracking, you know. So you always will have to be alert, but those things too can become second nature. You don't have to, you know, I don't know what the word is, take it for granted. You know, you will always need to be very vigilant when you're driving, but that doesn't mean that it can't be enjoyable and relaxing. So I guess that's it. I just wanted to throw it out there. My night sleeps have been roughly, basically right after lunch, we go into sleeper berth. So whereas I used to go to bed at 11 p.m. and wake up somewhere around 5:45 in the morning, that is replaced now with right after lunch going to bed and waking up sometime in the evening, 8, 9, depending on when you went down, and then going through the shift and having to drive at first light. So just be prepared for that. I'm not really saying this to scare anybody or to put you off to it. It's just a reality that you're going to have to be used to, or get used to kind of quick. And I'm starting to get used to it. It's honestly, a lot of the time I feel like I'm sleeping all the time. You know, my shifts have not been super long because I'm learning and I'm, you know, increasing my hours and miles. So it's not exactly true, but it feels like you're doing nothing but driving, sleeping, or walking to the bathroom and grabbing a quick bite, you know. Quick bite also, that's another thing about the schedule. I have, since the day one of arriving in Springfield, I have been losing weight considerably. I haven't weighed myself, but I can tell my clothes are just kind of hanging on me. And there's nothing quite like the feeling of loose underpants, I'll put it that way. Not exactly the greatest situation there, but losing weight. And you know, at Campus Inn, a lot of that had to do with, you know, you had to walk. We were, again, at the really far away room, you know, and it came down to it, you know, a lot of those days were icy and snowy. It's like, you know, do I want to walk a half mile to eat in the cafeteria, or screw it, I'll just catch it next meal? And so I kind of started getting into a bit of a habit of eating every other meal, and I would be reasonable at those meals. I'm not necessarily going crazy right now during training to diet, but I've kept it reasonable, and I'm a person that does like to eat. I've tried to make it a part of my lifestyle, even before coming out, to eat like one big salad a day, usually for lunch. And that's somewhat translated to, you know, this experience. But out on the road with this crazy schedule, I honestly don't know where you would even fit in 3 square meals a day. You know, I guess you can do it, but like I said, it feels like you're either driving or sleeping most of the time. So it's turned out that I've eaten some days 1 meal or 2 meals, sometimes in the truck stop. You know, I'm trying to keep it kind of reasonable. You know, sometimes I eat, you know, if I have a hankering for something, I've done it. But low calories and walking. I'm going to do a whole thing on walking for especially the people that are, you know, larger, soon-to-be drivers. You got to be ready to do some hoofing it. You know, you may be leaving a sedentary job and coming into this sedentary job, which it is. You know, driving is a sedentary job, but it's a sedentary job that requires daily the ability to walk for 10 minutes, I would say, without super duper pain, and standing for that. And you know, those of us that are, you know, coming from a 9-to-5 desk job, you know, especially people like me that were working from home at a 9-to-5 desk job and a few steps away from the kitchen, and beyond that the couch for the rest of the evening, you know, quite sedentary. You know, it was painful when I first got here. I had done some exercising leading up, you know, to coming out here, because I knew there'd be some walking, but I wasn't compelled to really push it until I got here. You have to walk, you know, when you're here, and when you're out on the road, you know, you're always, you know, a decent, you know, set of paces from the truck stops. You know, shippers and receivers, there's walking around to do there, so be prepared for that as well. Again, I think I might do an episode on, you know, walking. My recommendation is going to be something like, be able to at least do like 3 10-minute walks a day. I think would be good to start off with. And if you're like me, I used to have quite a bit of sciatic pain, and those of you that, you know, are in that kind of shape, that pain that comes, that muscle that comes around the hip, it's called the piriformis muscle. I looked into that not long ago, because that would be me. I would walk 100 yards and it would feel like 2 knives jabbing into the, you know, right on the hip to the butt, around the back, and it would just be excruciating. And I've learned a little bit about that. I'll save it for another episode. But there are stretches that you can do that will vastly improve the number of steps you can do, and that sciatic pain that goes around the hip and down your leg. Not a cure, but it is a life-changing type of thing. I Googled a whole bunch of stuff on it when I got here, and it really helped. So for those of you that are maybe in the same kind of situation, get walking if you're coming out here. Get walking and get stretching. But I'll probably put out a video on some of that. But it can be Googled. There's a ton of videos out there by doctors on this piriformis muscle that gives everybody such a hard time. And there's many stretches. If you're big, you're not going to be able to do all those stretches. Some of them are, you know, only a healthy person could do. But there's some very easy ones, just sitting on the side of the bed. You know, if you remember the old butterfly stretch from when you're in high school gym, you know, it's kind of like crisscross, but not crisscross. You put your feet together, kind of a butterfly with your knees up like this. That one, if you press down your knees and lean right or left, you can get that muscle. But stretching out and doing that will help as well. So, but I'll probably go into more detail on exercising and helping that pain for those of you that are, you know, coming out to prime and maybe not in the best of health. You know, the years are not always kind. So, but I can tell you, this has been mentally and physically, from the moment I decided to do this, things have gotten better. My outlook has been better. My stress level, while this can be a little stressful, has gone down. You know, again, another episode, but I come from a mental health background, and you know, we can talk about the ways people feed, you know, sadness, loneliness, you know, depression, whatever it is you've got going on that makes you miserable at times. Everybody turns to something: drugs, alcohol, food. You know, some people have positive outlets, exercise, hobbies, things like that, but you're going to have something that fills that void. You know, you're going to seek that. So we'll talk about that some more too. But just the mindset coming out here, leaving a super stressful 9-to-5 job and coming into a job that, you know, it seems like it's almost been built for me. You know, it suits my personality quite a bit. I don't like being away from my family. You know, no one does. But as a person, this kind of lifestyle, you know, does suit me. And you know, and I haven't, it just, you know, I'm not dieting, quote unquote, but I don't feel the need to stuff food in for emotion. You know, it's you know, those that turn to food because of, you know, whatever they may be lacking in life, you know, the large size number one, insert whatever fast food restaurant you care to, brings 5 minutes of happiness. And in a life where there isn't 5 minutes of happiness a lot of the time, that's the alternative. So since being out here, I just haven't had that desire. This is tough, but it's fun. I'm enjoying every minute of this. It's just such a cool experience. And when I am eating in the truck stops, I have I'm not gravitating to the worst food. And this isn't white knuckling through a diet. This is just having a healthier mental outlook. I'm happy. I think we've made a good decision for my family, a good decision for my health, and without really even trying, right now the pounds are just coming right off. I can, like I said, I'm not gonna weigh until I'm only gonna weigh myself on home time. I've decided that, so I'm not gonna weigh myself. But I talked about my clothes, but here's another one: my wedding ring. Before I came to Prime, I could get it off, but it was 5 minutes of twisting, turning, and maybe getting some soap, that kind of thing. It would come off. But right now, off, on, off, on, and it's so it's definitely been good for me. So again, those of you that are thinking about making a change, whether it's trucking or not, if you're in that kind of situation, do something about it. Don't wait. Do something that's going to make you happy and make your family in a more successful situation. So I hope you can find that in your life. So anyway, I'm going to call it quits there. I think we're about 15 minutes. I will chat at you next time. Thanks.